Strinova has always had a big problem with matchmaking, with the lobbies being a hit or miss, with some lobbies having straight bots, and some being actually good, and there's no in between. And in ranked, it's at its worst, with the ranked players being somehow terrible even though they're high ranked. And queue times are crazy compared to challenge, which gives me the question for today's video, which we're going to discuss. Why is Strinova ranked dead? Now, the ranked players being somehow worse is a thing that is really normal in loads of other games. Win trading and smurfing is at an all-time high in most shooter games. But in this game, it's a ton worse due to its lower player count. I've actually talked with a couple high ranked players, and they have told me they are when trying to play the game in the high ranks, it has such a low chance of happening. They mentioned it happening at maybe managing to get a game at 3 PM. But with that being the case, they've had to resort to smurfing. Now, in most games, I absolutely hate this practice and it just kind of ruins the game. But in this specific case, I feel like there's at least, a bit of leniency to it, because it's practically impossible to queue, but that still does ruin the game. And that just goes back onto my video I made a few weeks ago where I said that the game is kind of killing itself in a way. But this was a great reason as to why people play more challenged than ranked, because it's, you don't want to have smurfs roaming all the lobbies. Another reason is because of the fact you don't have to worry about a rank, and it's not so competitive. Even though this game is literally anime Valorant, it really shouldn't be taken that seriously, and that just leads me into the game modes as well, actually. Outbreak is quite populated in Strinova and talked about quite often in the Discord, and I've played quite a few games of it, and it's quite fun, and I love the kind of infected feeling in a way that I used to get from COD back in the day. And there's a ton of other game modes that are quick and easy to jump into. Some people don't want to be playing for 20 minutes straight for a game to finish. There's Team Deathmatch, the usual first to reach a certain amount of kills, Conquest and Bobblehead League, which are both quite fun to play, except for Bobblehead League, that's just weird. But all these other game modes are fun to play, and it's extremely fun to play, to be honest. Nobody, wants to be dealing with a bunch of problems ranked entails, and with the large variety of game modes with challenge, this game just, it's just more accessible. And another thing to note actually as well is the level 10 requirement for ranked. And for new people that join the game, not that there's a lot of new players joining this game anyway, but for the people that do join it and, getting to level 10 to then play ranked, to then just to get absolutely bombed on is, another reason as why people don't want to be playing ranked. And it, obviously Rocket League as well, going back to the level 10 thing, Rocket League has that same feature, and they still have smurfs galore, because level 10's not high enough, really. It's accessible for people to get to, but then it makes it really accessible for people that have already played the game to then make a new account and then, grind up the rank. And that's what a lot of people have done, and that's why nobody really cares and they just go to smurf, which is, becoming a slight problem in the game now, to be honest. And you could also mention the rewards between them both, but let's be real, come on, the rewards for challenge are only for the dormitory, and I guess some of them are pretty cool, but yeah, it's just plushies at the end of the day. And now let's talk about the problems with ranked, and well, there are quite a lot that could be the reason why ranked is just dead. It seems to have bots in regular ranked lobbies, and this is absolutely normal for games, but why the heck, is this a thing? When I play Valorant, that had some questionable players, and even sometimes you are the questionable player. But in this game, it seems to almost have at least one toxic player ends up giving up the whole entire game, or just forfeits, and then the funniest of all, leaves the game in rage quitting. You always got to have one of the bunch, a really toxic player, a really, rage quitting player kind of in a way. You've always got to have one in each lobby. It seems like they particularly pick players that are going to rage in that lobby and then, leave. Another problem I've noticed personally is just the lobbies, So sometimes we have a normal lobby with equally matched players, and others we have the whole of NRG in our game taking us all out. And this is something that is crazily apparent because of a few people I have spoken to in the space, which gives me an idea of what it's like at the high ranks. Now, it's pretty obvious that there is not a lot of singularities. I mean, I'm pretty sure at the moment it's 80 of them, 80 super string, and that's in altogether, by the way. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, queue times is crazy down all the way up that rank, and that means we have tons of the neutrons and electrons now that are just, just singularities or probably, super strings, which makes things really difficult for all of us down here. I haven't played enough games, obviously, to even encounter that many times, in my opinion. I mean, yesterday I did when I played that. Obviously, by the time this video's out, it won't be yesterday, but you get what I mean. And it's not fun, I can tell you that. Having someone that gets 20 plus kills almost, you know, whatever assists, and, you know, there's at least 3 of them on that team that are doing that, and then the rest of you on the other team are, like, just scraping by with 7 kills and 9 assists and probably 20 deaths. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be real, it makes the game, like, so depressingly bad. Like, when you get destroyed like that, when, you know, you would expect them to be similar rank with you, it's awful. Absolutely awful. And I can see why people wouldn't like that, and I don't like that. I don't like playing the game with nerds either like that. Like, no. And it just drags, honestly, in another way as well, actually. It seems to just be dragging the whole rank ladder down. Like, I feel like now we've got, you know, like Neutron, you know, we've got Electron, and then we've obviously got all of the other ranks above it. And I feel like now, because of, like, loads of the higher ranks have just joined and just slapped themselves down into Electron, or, you know, and Neutron as well, I feel like we've just now got a bit of a problem where the rank ladder is going down instead of going up. We've got a, you know, it's gonna end up with like Atom being like pro players. Like, it's really weird. But, you know, there's nothing really which you can do about it at the moment. But obviously, I would have ended up quitting the game by now if I had spam lobbies of, like, you know, people that were smurfing. You know, maybe not even smurfing, but, like, you know, yeah, pretty much is smurfing to a T, actually, to be honest. And I can see why this, you know, turns people off ranked, especially, because it would certainly put me off. And this just annoys me because it's almost as if the game is literally killing itself, you know, for the global version anyway. The Chinese version may have its own issues, but we are talking about the global version today. And see, this ultimately leads back to the one issue with the game. It's advertising, which I heard from my last video on Strinova, that the game has quite a lot of advertising from the Chinese version, especially in China. Like, if you search that up, you'll probably see something, you know, to do with it. And the thing I think is, why can't the global version have this? Like, you know, have some, like, at least £5 thrown at it. Like, come on, it ain't that difficult. Like, to get a small little advertisement just to push it out to a few people. It's phenomenal to me how we have reached this predicament with the game not getting any advertising, when, to be honest, it is making money. And we obviously saw in the last video, if you go check that out, the link will be at the top right of the screen right now. If you check that video, you'll understand what I mean. The game is making money. I mean, you know, it's still making quite a bit of money for how many people that are playing it, and especially the Chinese version. But, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. Why can't the global version have some budget thrown into it? And as one of the comments on my last video said, this game is one of the examples of how not to launch a game globally. And I think that's so true, but, you know, looks like we're going to be able to deal with this for now. Now, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, not this rando on Billy. Right, yeah, buddy, I'm watching you. You stole my video. I will see you next video, guys. Yeah, you stealed my video, you scammer. I know you've got my video on that account. But yeah, no, I'm kidding. Anyway, right, yeah. But boys, I will see you guys in the next video. If you do want to join my Discord, the link is in the description. I post, obviously, notifications of streams that are going on in here. And yeah, boys, I'll be seeing you guys there. Bye-bye. See you next video.